Zoom calls in dementia units can have their advantages, but there's a lot to prepare and take into consideration. Firstly, the charge nurse has to have the technology and skill to be able to negotiate the Zoom call. The dementia resident themselves needs to be showered, dressed and prepared for the phone call, and then there needs to be someone with them when the phone call comes through for them to be able to orientate as to what's happening with the Zoom call. Now, if that's all in place, fine, but staff members really don't have time to sit through a Zoom call with a dementia resident. They've hardly really got the time to set up the Zoom call and get the dementia resident ready, let alone sitting in with the Zoom call as well. A friend or family member or a paid carer needs to do that, which is often the case. If a son's phoning from overseas, they need to employ a carer to be able to be with their mother when they phone in. Now, assuming that's all achieved and in place and the mother's prepared and she's sitting and she's waiting and she has the paid carer who is employed and she's made sure that the mother's settled and informed that you as the son is phoning from Singapore, then that's a very good start to the whole equation. Now, assuming you call through, the advantages of a Zoom call is that you are able to see your mother on a big screen. You can see all aspects, how her weight is she going to the hairdresser, does she look happy, is she depressed or anxious, what's the surrounds in the dementia facility looking like. All of that you can see on the big screen, which you can't really get such an idea of on a smaller phone screen. So that's a big advantage. Now, in terms of the resident themselves, they may like seeing you on the screen, but most of these elderly people are not used to video phone technology, so it can be confusing even. But assuming that they can tune in and see you, it's probably only a small percentage of the time that they'd gain benefit from seeing you visually on the screen. Most of the time, dementia residents like to speak to their family on the phone. They're used to phone calls. They've mostly had a phone most of their lives and they like phone calls, and they'll be able to recognize you through the tone of your voice and your manner on the phone. You may have to remind them of who you are and your name and that you're the son, but once they've got that in place, they'll be able to link in with you easily. So I think for important liaisons, important sessions where you actually want to see your mother and how she's faring, Zoom calls are good for you to be able to see the setup, how she is, if she requires anything, and also at the same time, if you notice, for example, that she needs her hair cut and set, then you can say to the carer, could she organise that, and that you'll send the money through to an account so that can be arranged. So you can negotiate quite a lot on a Zoom call if the carer is there as well. If your mother needs new shoes, if she needs a new jacket, if she needs a hair done, all of those things. It's much easier on a Zoom call to work out than through email or over the phone where only two parties are present. And you can include your mother in on this as well and say, look, Mum, we're going to organise for you to get your hair done or some new shoes, or wouldn't you like that, or what would you like? And Mum can be included in the equation. So other than that, the odd Zoom call, good, but other than that, really, it's probably easier just to phone. If the carer's got a cell phone, you can cell phone her at a given time, and that's easier to set up. And your mother can phone, speak to you as well on the cell phone when you call. So that's the best that I can mention about Zoom calls. Over COVID time, of course, Zoom calls were a lot more common and were helpful at that time when it was difficult for people to be able to come and visit. And of course, they couldn't use cell phones at that point in the unit because they weren't visiting. So Zoom calls were the flavour of the month at that point in time. So I've written these two books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit, on Amazon and in the description below on my website. Thank you for your viewing and your subscriptions. I really appreciate it, and please subscribe those interested in this channel. Thank you.